All right, hi everybody. I am used to using Big Blue Button, but I could not make it work on on our new canvas, so I'm gonna have to ask about that. So I am just doing a video which I hope to upload to YouTube. If not, I guess I could just actually send it to you. So this is going to be a very brief introduction to Catullus. Um, and I'll probably continue it with another video or two. The main thing, of course, is to make sure that you go ahead and get your book. I mentioned to you on the email I sent a little while ago that it's really important that you get this book, except that's looking backwards, isn't it? Catullus, a Legamus Reader, and it's by Ken Kitchell. I'm already seeing one of the downsides of this. I guess I can maybe switch the camera around and point it. Let me try that. I don't know if that's going to work anyway. Okay, never mind. Catullus is a really fascinating guy, and I think when we get into him, we'll like him. He's certainly one of the most modern of the ancient poets, you know, as far as like being personal and talking about love affairs and things like that. He is a group of, they don't know whether to call this a school or what, maybe just kind of a little group that shared particular values. They call them the new poets or the neoteric poets. The Greek verb is, or word, I'm sorry, is neoteroi, the new guys. In Latin, it's poetae novi, the new poets. And Cicero uses that term, so it must have been kind of an in vogue term. Our dates for Catullus, and I'm using Kenneth Quinn's book. It's a nice text that has a lot of notes in it, so I'll use that as we go along. We think he probably died in about 54 BC, so that's 10 years before Julius Caesar was assassinated. Okay, and he was probably less than 30 when he died. So if we carry that back, maybe he was born around 85 or something like that BC. So he's living in that generation that included Cicero, Julius Caesar, Pompey, those guys, names that you'll be familiar with. His writing is like a generation before Virgil, and there's a contemporary of his who is really, really famous, not so much now, although still fairly well known, a guy named Lucretius. And I'll type up some of this stuff in some notes for y'all. Again, I was planning on using Big Blue Button where you could type things in, and it's not working, so we'll see what happens. And I'll eventually probably figure out how to type things in on YouTube and all that too, but we'll just make baby steps here, so sorry about that. Lucretius, the guy who's his contemporary, wrote this work called De Rerum Natura, on the nature of things, which was a very popular epic poetry on Epicureanism, which sounds like, why on earth would I want to read that? And sections of it are deadly dull, but it's very interesting overall. The Epicureans were materialists. They believed that the body just died, and then there was no soul that existed or anything like that, and so they emphasized enjoying yourself, not in the sense of like grabbing every pleasure you can get, but enjoying a peaceful life without worry. And so that's the kind of Epicurean style. Live like Horace mentions, um, drink the beginning of your bottle of wine and the end of your bottle of wine with abandon. Maybe cut back in the middle. And I think what he means is like, don't be afraid. Oh gosh, this is the end of my wine. I don't want to drink it, or I don't want to get started on this bottle of wine. He says, go ahead, get started. And when you're kind of towards the end, go ahead and enjoy it. Don't worry about losing that. Maybe in the middle, though, take a little bit of a breather, So anyway, I don't know if that helps, but the Epicureans were very popular, and Lucretius's poetry is quite good. Virgil refers to him a lot. What is funny, though, I'll come to, let's see, do I want to come to that in a minute? Yeah, I'll go ahead and mention that now. Catullus, even though he was mostly a writer and seems to have been a Roman boy, he did do the obligatory military campaign, and he was a prominent guy, and so he went off with this guy named Memmius, who was the patron for Lucretius, and so it's really funny. Memmius was the governor of Bithynia, which was east of Rome, and Lucretius, when he's writing his work in honor of Memmius, Memmius paid for it, I guess, and so he says, Memmius, you're a great guy, blah blah, all this stuff. But Catullus hated Memmius. Memmius was apparently not very good to him, not very generous at all in the military campaign. In one poem, he basically, he does say, Memmius, you effed me up, and he's very graphic with it. I won't go into that. We might read it later, but I won't tell you how explicit he was. Catullus has some really vulgar poems, by the way. We'll decide whether we want to read the vulgar poems or not. He is most known, though, for some love poems and hate poems to this woman he calls Lesbia. Now, Lesbia is where Sappho was from. She was the famous Greek poetess, the only really famous Greek female poet or Roman female poet that we have anything from. But she was very, very good. And so her island, Lesbos, got the reputation for being very learned, sophisticated and all. And so Catullus is having an affair with this woman who was married. We think her name was Clodia, more about her later on. And so, he doesn't want to use her real name in the poems, even though probably half of Rome knew what was going on. So he calls her Lesbia, which would have meant charming at the time. It did not, the term lesbian in the sense of a female being in love with or having sex with a female, that doesn't come into use, I don't think, until like the 1800s. So that's a really late usage. Even though, oh gosh, I hit the wrong thing on my computer. So you have a little advertisement there. Catullus, we think, wrote this set of poems. They're scattered out in his collection. And he wrote this poem, we think maybe poem 51 was the first one to her. It's a translation of Sappho. So he's translating a little love poem. And so people think maybe he sent this to her as a little test run. And if she's kind of feeling the same way, she'll realize, oh, this is a declaration of love. If she takes it the wrong way, he can say, hey, I just translated a poem. What you getting upset about, and so we don't know. I'm pretty sure we don't know that that's exactly the way it happened, but it might have. It seems logical. They seem to have had a very torrid love affair, but then things went downhill. Apparently she cheated on him big time. I don't know if you could say cheating on someone when you're already cheating, when already married, and so uh, anyway, cheating on a cheater, but anyway, he was just devastated, and he's brokenhearted. We'll enjoy reading some of those points. They're very, very fine. He's very, very touching. Um, and so anyway, we think this woman was Clodia, sorry, and married to a guy named Metellus. And if this was Clodia, she was the sister of a guy named Appius Clodius Pulcher, okay? And he was a super famous guy, but had, I'm sorry, I said Appius, I said Publius Clodius Pulcher. Again, I'll send you some sort of document with some of these names or all that. So Publius Clodius Pulcher. And he was an arch enemy of Cicero. Cicero was fairly conservative. Pulcher was kind of in the populist type of group anyway. And so at one point, Cicero was defending in a trial an enemy of Publius Clodius Pulcher, a guy named Catullus, who was a friend enemy of Catullus. We'll see more of that later. I don't want to get this thing too complex. I said it would be short anyway. And so Cicero just makes fun of the guy throughout the whole thing, makes fun of the guy who's behind the prosecution of his friend. And he even makes, it's not even suggestions, it's really statements that Pulcher is having sex with his sister, Clodia, that they like to have sex. And so, you know, like you can't imagine this in a real trial. You know, apparently back then, you know, the people were laughing about it, but you would get thrown out of court immediately if you did that nowadays. So anyway, Cicero really made fun of Clodia and her brother. That's obviously a side note, but it kind of shows you how Catullus interacts or has something to do with all these people. Like, he knew Julius Caesar. They kind of didn't get along, but they made up. Again, I said he didn't like Memmius. Cicero, as I recall, sort of attacks him as a poet, you know, kind of being newfangled and all. So, you know, this was a really small circle where everybody knew each other, and you had a lot of friends and a lot of enemies. So we'll be able to look at all sorts of things with him, go on all sorts of tangents. So I'll stop that as my introduction to Catullus. Let me just mention a few things about the class. It looks like we are going to go fully online. I think that was the only possibility for two of you, and Carter said he didn't mind. And of course, we're geographically dispersed. We'll have two people in Lake Charles and one in Spain. And the main thing is for y'all to communicate with me if you're having problems. Obviously, I'm going to try to get our delivery method a little better. And I'll try various things. You know, you'll have written things on the computer. Your textbook is very good. It will, you can almost do it yourself with the textbook. There's so many helps in it. And again, that's why I think for this particular class, it's really essential that you get that particular book. And so what I envisioned is probably 2 to 3 tests and like participation maybe like a final kind of portfolio where you have your translations all together. And we'll probably do some revisions of our translations where we take, kind of this rough translation like we'd read in class, and then maybe try to turn it into a real poem. So we'll probably do that. We'll have 2 or 3 tests, a portfolio, and and like participation, and everything will be worth the same. We might change it a little bit, and again, feel free, beyond free, do let me know how you feel about things. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna quit with that and try to upload it. If I don't upload it, you won't know. So all right, thanks. Oh, if you need me, email me my cell phone. You can always text me to 337-302-1374. 337-302-1374.